Sports Counterpoints podcast. This is May the 13th, 2025. I'm GB. That's Brian and Coop. What's going on, my guys?
What's
What's
up?
going on?
And we back at it.
Yeah.
Another show. We got do a quick little NHL playoff rundown. We'll talk about the NFL, some quick hitter stuff. Derek Carr retires. George Pickens traded. International schedule released. Full schedule is released tomorrow, which is cool. Talk about Major League Baseball a little bit as Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe, who I'm hearing about for the first time today because I didn't watch no old baseball apparently, get reinstated.
We weren't alive, my brother. Don't worry about it. He was
He's-
playing.
Who's this
He's
we?
played in a movie that includes Charlie Sheen. You know, it's not,
Oh, okay. I didn't pay attention like that. I ain't gonna lie to you. To Major League word, and then NBA quick rundown. And we'll talk about game ball, hogwash, and minute to win it. That's our
Yeah.
segment. So
real quick, GB. The A's are playing the Dodgers right now. The A's are up 9-1, so I figure I had that hat on for this
that's
podcast.
surprising.
They winning. Since they winning.
Where are they?
They're in LA.
Wow.
You know, I have a Dodger hat. I got an athletics hat on. I wore the
Wow.
that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
These guys are actually. We'll see if they win because they're known to give up a lead, but they're still crazy.
Right.
it's never
Alright.
over with the Dodgers, though. They
Yeah, so I'm saying, and the A's give up leads, man. They ain't good.
That's funny.
They either get whooped bad or they win by a lot. It's
They
crazy.
ain't good. It's all
Um,
good.
All right, so you
All
got that. So yeah, well, so we're already talking baseball. Let's just start there. Give me what's up on this. You know, Pete Rose was out of the game for a long time for betting on his team, right? As he was managing the
Or in
Cincinnati
general.
Reds.
Yeah.
But he
Yeah.
also had like a very good baseball career. So he was out of
Not a-
Major League
yeah.
Baseball for years.
he may have been the best hitter in baseball for the bulk of his career and most of our lives.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, dude was on. And anyways, the point being is that today they allowed him back in baseball posthumously, and that means that he can be put into the Hall of Fame. The other person, who was Shoeless Joe Jackson, which, if you remember Field of Dreams, he was the guy. If you build it, he
Oh.
will come. Shoeless Joe Jackson.
I did not know that. Okay,
Um,
got it. I'm thinking, man, Major League. Okay,
Yeah.
Field of Dreams.
He
You
Got
thought,
it.
been
you
out.
thought he's part of Jackson 5 or something, Glenn?
Bro, he might have been. I ain't know the brother.
Go
It was
ahead.
a movie about the whole team. Ultimately, what most believe happened or accept happened was that the White Sox got to the series. They were in a contract dispute with the owner of the team. They got paid by some gamblers, which apparently wasn't very uncommon back then, to throw the series. Shoeless Joe actually is rumored to have refused to do it, but he did not turn them in. So when they were all found guilty and kicked out of baseball, he was also kicked out of baseball, despite having the best batting percentage, having home runs in multiple games, so on and so forth. But not only did he get back in, and he will likely get, he may get a nod to the Hall of Fame. Buck Weaver, who I believe is the pitcher, Ed Sakate, who I know was a pitcher, Lefty Williams, who was a big hitter, Happy Felch, I can't remember who he was in the movie, Fred McClellan, Sweetie Risberg, and Chick Gandil were all part of the Black Sox team that was ultimately kicked out. There's a bunch of other players: Joe Gedeon, Jane Paulette, Benny Koff. Almost all of them are related to gambling, except for Benny Koff, who was acquitted of an auto theft charge. But when he was going through the trial, he was no longer a fit companion for other ball players. So he was kicked out of the league back in 1921. Lee McGee shuffling Phil Douglas for threatening his manager. Jimmy O'Connell for bribing another player. Cozy Dolan in the same incident, and William Cox. And of course, Pete Rose. So large number of players that kind of were like, I think they kind of tried to do that to, if they're going to clear the decks, they're going to clear the decks. And so, if they were going to let Pete Rose in for having bet on baseball, they had to do it for all the other players who apparently bet on baseball or were rumored to have bet on baseball and were kicked out as a result of that. Thus, that list.
Yeah, hey, Glenn, hey, GB, Your boy Shoeless Joe Jackson, he played for the Philadelphia Athletics and
Oh, man.
the Cleveland Naps and the Chicago White Sox. And he
Back
played
in the
minor
days.
league. Right. He played in the minor leagues for the New Orleans Pelicans.
Oh, wow.
Right. Not
Where
the
at?
basketball team, baseball team. Yeah. Just let
I'm
you know
reading
that.
stats. I didn't like, I've heard Pete Rose my whole life, right? And
Right.
like, I knew he played and cool, but he was out because he was out by the time he was out in 80. He ended his career in 86. I was born in 83. But this fool it says Rose was a switch hitter and is MLB's all-time leader in hits,
Mm-hmm.
games played, at bats, singles, and outs. He won 3 World Series championships, 3 batting titles, 1 Most Valuable Player award, 2 Golden Glove awards, and Rookie of the Year.
And he has one of the most
Damn.
iconic baseball plays where he ran over the catcher going to home plate, Ray Fosse. He just bowled him over going in the home plate and scored. But yeah, Charlie Hustle, Pete Rose.
Charlie Hustle, bro. What a
Yeah.
name too. A shout out because that was an E40 album and I only knew the
Yeah.
E40 album.
Yeah.
Charlie
It'll
Hustle,
be
Pete
interesting to
Rose.
see if the
Wow. What a
if
beast.
the
Damn.
voters have let him off the hook though.
They will. They have to.
Bro, read
They
that.
have
Bro, it's
they haven't
filthy.
let Bonds. They haven't let There's a bunch
Pete
of other
Rose is
players.
before
Right.
them, so that Bonds get in later.
Right. I get what you're saying, but I think
No. But they have.
no. Go ahead.
One, you get a certain window of time, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Bond's window of opportunity to be put in is almost going to close, and he ultimately may not get it. But with Pete Rose, a lot of these reporters were there for the Pete Rose era, and just because he got back in, I hope he does. He deserves it. But statistically, he
The
deserves it.
gameplay is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it should be based on your playing career. They
People are
always
petty,
use the
man.
excuse that he got banned for betting. Well, he's not banned anymore. So it's like, what excuse you're going to say now? That's why I think it gets in.
Bond never got banned for anything.
He never got banned. He never failed a drug
I
test.
think,
Never failed a drug test. Yeah.
I
People are
think
petty.
I
So
think they
I
I don't
banned.
think
think
I don't think Clemens is in either. Clemens is not in either, right?
But you don't tell the
Roger
story
Clemens?
without them guys, but they're famous, infamous.
Oh, you can't
but
tell baseball without Pete Rose. I mean,
yeah, bro. Not with
I
these
mean,
there's
stats.
multiple movies about
Bonds, McGuire, like all them guys, they gonna have their section either way.
I mean,
But
technically, you probably can't tell the story of baseball without the Chicago Black Sox. To be perfectly honest with you, everything you can't tell the story of baseball without them either. So,
see, I don't know.
I mean,
Bro,
yeah.
y'all put me on. All right.
Two of the best baseball movies ever circle around Shoeless Joe Jackson.
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you
Shoeless
learn
Joe.
something new every day. All right. So that's
Mhm.
baseball. Let's do a quick NHL rundown. This is hockey right now. The Winnipeg Jets are down 3-1 to the Dallas Stars. Saw Dallas was on their head earlier. The Las
Yeah,
Vegas
3-1
Knights.
came back over.
I'm sorry, what?
Dallas won tonight 3-1.
Oh yeah, I was seeing that. That's bad. The Las Vegas Knights and the Edmonton Oilers. The Knights are down 1 game to 3 games. So in Edmonton, they can close that out. The Toronto Maple Leafs are at versus the Florida Panthers. That series is tied 2-2. And Washington and Carolina, nice. But Carolina is up 3-1 in Washington. So on Winnipeg, Dallas, Vegas, and Edmonton, those 2 teams are going to go to the conference finals. Right now, it looks like it's going to be Dallas and Edmonton. And on the Eastern Conference, Toronto and Florida are tied up. So it's anybody's series. And then it looks like Carolina is going to move on. So that's, what's going on in NHL. Y'all got anything on that? Otherwise, we keep moving.
Nah. Yeah.
Just wanted to give people a little, we're a sports show. So at least you know what's going on in other sports. Let's slide to the
Thank you,
NBA.
Greg.
Yep. Shout out Greg and Tristan too, and all the other hockey homies. Dave. Yeah, so you got that, and then NBA. Let's do the same thing, man. Have y'all been watching any of these games?
Man, I'm glad I jumped over to Brian's side on Indiana against Cleveland because
Yeah, they
man,
got and
I had
Cleveland
to
had a
think.
bad injury too. Like the injuries
What?
didn't help them.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons I jumped, but I also had to think. I've been
Those
watching
players
them
came back.
games.
Yeah,
and the
but
Pacers came back and won. Yeah,
losing them is
So I
tough.
mean,
Mm.
Cleveland's players came back. That's when the one
Oh,
game
yeah.
they won was when
right. When he was injured. I mean, that
when the
factored
injured
in.
players came back.
That factored in me jumping on your side, but the main factor was as I'm watching these games, Cleveland has always had trouble stopping Indiana from scoring. That's the same problem the Bucks had. They just couldn't stop from scoring and going on these runs, and it happened again. Cleveland was pretty much up, I guess, most of the first half, whatever. Then Indiana just made their run. All of a sudden, they're up 8 at one point. So Indiana is just, the better team. Brian, what you think about the series?
Yeah, I mean, the same reason I said then is the same reason I think it went the way it went. Teams have to get punched in the mouth. When you're a young team that doesn't have a lot of playoff experience, doesn't matter what your record is, that first time you
Yep.
experience playoff intensity for this long, you're going to succumb to it. There's very few teams that make it through the gauntlet their first time because
Yeah.
the whole game changes. So I don't put any fault on Cleveland. I don't think they had a snowball's chance in hell of doing anything in spite of having such a wonderful record because they got to go through this first. And I think they'll be back next year and retooled, but come back with that understanding of the difference between regular season basketball and postseason basketball. It happens to so many teams over the years. They're just the next one up.
Yeah, I saw a stat I couldn't believe. Cleveland's 0-5 at home this season against the Pacers and 36-5 against everybody else at home. That is a crazy stat. They cannot beat Indiana at home. Yeah,
that's a tough matchup, and they're out of there now.
Halliburton made his point.
What's that?
You think Halliburton made his point?
Oh man,
everyone wanted to talk.
Yeah, almost overrated
everyone
player
was
and
up
stuff
on that man's head.
Yeah,
but he quieted them all down.
Yeah, anybody
I was
talking
not
about
on that bandwagon, by the way. I was not on the overrated bandwagon.
I hear you. Well, Glenn, what Brian says is a good segue. I mean, everybody, you get punched in the mouth, had to realize the difference. That's what Boston and what's going on in the Boston-New York series. Boston's finding out it's harder to repeat when you're the hunted than when you are the hunter going after a championship. They have, I've said last week, they're blowing leads like left and right. They just don't have that. I don't know if you say killer instinct, but they just don't have the ability to close teams out like they did last year. Last year, they were on everybody's head when they were the hunter. Now everybody's coming after them. Like, even though they're down 10, they're not giving up against them. When you're the champs, I mean, I've heard plenty of players say this. Winning that second in a row is harder than getting that first one because everybody's coming at you and they're not giving up. You're going to make somebody's season by taking down the champs. And Boston, I think Brian probably talked about it last week. They're just not up to the challenge. I mean, they're getting punched in the mouth and they're not coming back from it. So New York, I mean, I know I picked Boston to come back and win the series, but I am not mad to see the New York Knicks, after letting go Julius Randle finally coming up and winning some playoff games.
Hey, I like to see Boston lose.
Because he's on the other side putting his foot in someone else's.
I know, right?
Right. But this series is over, and that's because Jason Tatum got hurt. Man had 42 points before getting carried off the field with what we hope is not as significant an injury as it looked
they
like
said ACL.
Yeah, it's ACL. He's out to 8 to 12 months or something like that, they said. Yeah.
Well, ACL is better than the alternative, which is Achilles.
No, I'm sorry, it is Achilles. It was Achilles. I'm sorry.
That's what I thought.
Achilles.
I
8 to 12 months.
Yeah, my bad. I thought it was ACL. Yeah.
Achilles is changes career paths. It's the one injury that players do not come back from 100% within a year.
Yep.
ACLs, MCLs, there's possibility for that, but with Achilles, it is a full year recovery and then a full year after that before you see them look like they used to. So that's really disappointing because Jason Tatum, man, he's that man. I mean, 42 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 steals, and he didn't get to finish the damn game. So that's it's unfortunate, but Celtics are done this year and next year.
Damn. They're doing 3-1 to the Knicks.
I would not be surprised to see them players that they had planned on keeping, like Kristaps Porzingis, and others, not Jaylen Brown, but some of these other folks, maybe Drew Holiday, that they were probably thinking about keeping. They will just get rid of because they know next year's a loss, and they're going to look at what happened in Dallas and hope for the stars to align, which we'll talk about in a minute, so that they can get a good draft pick. So I think Boston is done for 2 years. This year and next.
Don't bother me. Let's go next.
Yeah, don't bother me at all. Real talk.
3-1. I don't want to see anybody injured, but Boston
I'm not gonna lie. When I saw him in that wheelchair, I thought he was gonna pull a Paul Pierce and come right back. Seriously, I mean that was my first. That was my first thought. That was my first thought.
There was just a different. There's just one. He's not that kind of guy, but the difference. And did Paul Pierce have to walk it again? Because I thought I saw video footage of him at the game when Boston was up saying, if they lose this one, I'll walk it again.
He's doing it for fun.
Tatum goes down and they lose.
Yeah, he's doing it. He's doing it for fun at this point.
He's probably taking an Uber and then walking 2 blocks. But yeah.
Oh, we seen
I
him.
don't
Nah,
know.
it's hey, bro. It's
Yeah,
too
there was a
good.
lot of
It's too
footage.
good for your following to do that. Nah, he'll do it. He'll do it again.
Mhm.
Too much
Uh,
attention. All right.
anyway,
So
but the Knicks look. The Knicks look really good. They're spreading it around. They had 4 20-point starters, 20-point starters. Jalen Brunson is real for people who didn't know who he was, and there's a lot of people because there were people I've been talking to people who are like, who's this guy in the Knicks that looks kind of good? You know, it's Josh Jay. I'm like, Jalen Brunson. Like,
oh
yeah, where did he
no.
come from? Like, he's been that man.
Yeah, he's been balling. That's
Um,
ridiculous.
yeah, but people are starting to recognize him. He didn't have a huge Q rating.
He was balling
Uh,
in Dallas.
Again, he
Yeah.
didn't have that. People didn't know who he was. He got hidden by Luca.
Oh, that's
I would
crazy.
take him over Luca in a heartbeat.
No, he got
That's
Luca
hella
got
funny,
hurt.
right?
He was getting busy last year.
Man,
They
I'll
went to the
still take
finals.
him over Luca.
Again, people did not.
I mean, he's like
The number of people that come up and like, who's this guy? It's numerous.
yeah, he's
That's
the
crazy.
new Isaiah Thomas from Boston, but he's better than Isaiah Thomas from Boston.
I don't
He's
even
a
watch
real
basketball.
Isaiah took lightning in a bottle. More power
Yeah.
to him. He looked
Yeah,
great.
Jalen Brunson's like kind of been killing for a while. Yeah, he's been killing it.
Jalen Brunson's always been very good.
All
Yeah.
right. So to the West Coast, man. Let's start with the Timberwolves and the Warriors. Curry goes
Yeah,
down, so do the Warriors. Minnesota's are up 3-1.
Go ahead, B.
At this point, it doesn't really matter. I do think the Minnesota Timberwolves get through. I thought that they would get through. It didn't matter if they had Curry or not.
Yeah.
The reality of it is that I didn't think the Golden State Warriors were going to be that good this time around. Timberwolves have a good team. I'm not trying to predict anything that they're like going to win a championship, but they could very well get to the finals with the way this team is built. Anthony Edwards had 30, but he was not the leading scorer in their last game because that guy you were just talking trash about, Julius Randle, had 31.
No, he was killing it. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he's playing pretty strong. I mean, the only guy not in double digits is Rudy Gobert, and that's because that's not what Rudy does. But this is a well-balanced team that has a superstar in Anthony Edwards, probably the best young player in the league, if you ask me. There was some silly debate I saw on TV on that 4-letter network that was talking about Anthony Edwards or Luka, and it was the silliest question I've ever heard. I would take Anthony Edwards every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Like
easily.
It's not even a competition. He went from being the most dominant and physical drive to the hole player to being the second best shooter in the league after Curry this year, averaging as many threes and shooting 39%. It is unreal how good that guy is. And he's letting everybody know right now. And he's a good team player. He's a team guy.
Yeah, it seems like he's a team guy. Yeah, he has no problem talking trash, letting them know. Yeah, I had Minnesota winning this as well. I never considered the Warriors as a threat to anything. With Curry, I mean, they still sometimes have offensive deficiencies, but without Curry, they're a completely different team. And if you watch the Warriors, you would know this. So it's not surprising that they dropped both games, even though they fought, but they dropped both games to Minnesota. I expect Minnesota to move on. If Curry plays, I mean, that might give him a spark, but at the same time, I still think that Minnesota is going to win the next game and close this out. It seems like they got the Warriors pretty much figured out on how they can score and then actually limit them a little bit when Curry.
Well, it's really easy to limit when they have 14 guys playing. Have you ever seen 14 players on a team in the playoffs play?
Yeah, and it's also easy to beat the Warriors when Jonathan Kuminga is your leading scorer. You know that's a real problem. He had 23 last game and led the Warriors in scoring. That's a definite problem. He cannot be your leading scorer if you expect to beat a playoff team like Minnesota. But that's what happens. Good for Minnesota. See what happens after that.
They're on their way. And then on the other side, you got Oklahoma City up 3-2 on the Denver Nuggets.
I don't know if y'all watched this game. This is like a tale of two halves. Oklahoma City all season has been a second half basketball team. They always start off slow in the first half. In the second half, they seem to come back and blow the doors off of teams. I think the last game they scored like 149 points. I mean, they can go on runs like that. I think overall they're better than Denver. I believe I picked them. I think we both picked OKC to get past Denver. But Denver is actually making this a series. They're not making it easy. They're making it very hard. And OKC is kind of learning in the process how to win in the playoffs and then beat a veteran team like Denver. we both don't think that Denver's a championship level team, but still you have to beat them. And for a young team, I mean, that might, take some growing pains or whatever, but it looks like they're getting it done. They were able to win today at home. I wouldn't surprise me at all if it went 7 if Denver won at home, but I expect OKC to close this out and move on.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
Andy?
Yeah. Look, I didn't think Denver was a very good team, and I didn't think they would get past Clippers, who I also didn't like, but they
Yeah.
did, and now they're here. And as long as that guy Jokic shoots up, they have a chance of winning any basketball game they play. That said, they're not the better team on talent from a talent perspective. That is certainly OKC team, which had 5 starters in double digits last time. Shea is playing lights out, and then Chet's developing, but Jalen Williams, Isaiah Hartenstein, and Lucas Dort, not the people you expected to be starters in a team that's formidable in the NBA playoffs at this point, but they're making their way through it. I still think that they still have that kind of problem, and that they're going to have to run up against a young team, probably Minnesota,
Minnesota.
that had already taken that punch in the mouth last year. So last year, Minnesota was the team that was young and they got punched in the mouth. This year, that's OKC. So, we were talking about it. There's a very good chance that Minnesota ends up in the NBA Finals because styles make fights, and they've got the style to win and the matchups and they're just kind of moving right through, getting the right opportunities. So we'll see what happens. But OKC is trying their best. I believe in the adage, you have to take that first L in order to understand.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they seem like they got it figured out. This is a good team to come up against right now. And you guys always say no team can win with Westbrook, so this is your chance.
Yeah, you mean Westbrook, who scored, what did he get? 20 minutes and 4 points?
He's had
1 for 7 from the field, 0 for 3 from the three-point line.
Yeah, that's
He's
about
had
his
other
playoff
games.
average, the percentages. Yeah.
He's had some other good ones. But,
Him and he's having that triple single.
Learning from Draymond.
What else we got? All right, so you got that's NBA, and let's slide to the league, man. To NFL. We're making good time too. So NFL, I'm thinking let's start with the international schedule. And I thought that's interesting just because Brian's team is playing 2 games overseas, and they said they're back-to-back weeks, which is crazy. So the Vikings are playing the Steelers in Dublin, Ireland. Interestingly enough, that's week 4, the September 28th. And then the next week they play
Cleveland Browns and Tottenham Spurs Stadium in London.
Yeah, the Browns in London. Interestingly enough,
and both times they're the road team, which I don't think actually matters because I think the Vikings have a decent fan base in Europe.
Yeah, and I'd also want to have my home games. I wouldn't want to give up my home games. Then you have the Broncos are playing the Jets in London, and the Rams are playing the Jaguars also in London at Wembley. The Falcons are playing the Colts in Germany, week 10, November 9th. And the Washington Commanders are playing the Miami Dolphins week 11, in Spain. So
crazy.
Yeah, the league is trying to do their thing, man, mixing stuff all over the place. Like they're doing the most.
Trying to give everybody an NFL experience, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and week 1, Chargers, is it Chargers Chiefs? No.
Yeah, they're playing in Brazil. Yeah.
In Brazil. Yeah. So they're trying to
and the rest
increase
of the
it.
schedule comes out tomorrow, so that's a big deal.
Yes. So
yeah, it was actually kind of funny to me that they put week 1 the Dallas Cowboys against the Philadelphia Eagles in week 1, and the reason why it was kind of funny to me is because I didn't pick the Cowboys to make the playoffs last year, and they didn't. I wouldn't pick them this year to make the playoffs as well. I think they're putting on the Cowboys because when the Cowboys are good, they're a good draw on TV, but they're not going to be good. And they just won't be good. And I figure they can get them out the way the first week of the season.
Yeah, week 1.
Week 1.
Everybody's good week 1.
Right, and have them go against the world champion Philadelphia Eagles the first week. So at least they can get something out the Cowboys. Because I think if they try to put this on maybe week 10 and week 11, it wouldn't be that good of a game. So that's why it was kind of funny to me. They got the Cowboys on week 1 playing Philly. I get it.
Kind of, like you said, though, their draw is so big. It kind of works any time of year. But to your point, right now, a 0-0, chance of an upset, rivalry game. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Good call.
So
speaking of the Cowboys, we were talking about that, which segues too. George Pickens gets added to their roster as they traded with the Steelers to get George Pickens. So now they add George Pickens to CeeDee Lamb and the rest of the guys on that squad. Do you guys think this has any, I mean, does it make the Cowboys better, Steelers worse, or is it just whatever?
Any thoughts, B?
Yeah, you can't catch balls that are thrown to the ground.
Damn.
That's
I mean,
funny.
having two great wide receivers, but having Dak Prescott as the guy, that's too many picks, too many turnovers, too many, grounders. They are absolutely a formidable pair of wide receivers, but there's too much that doesn't really make sense about that team to think that they're going to be able to capitalize off it as is.
Cool.
I've heard of Mike Tomlin's press conference in the past talking about George Pickens, and pretty much he's saying he's not really easy to coach. If there's one franchise that just picks wide receivers and just knows what to do with wide receivers, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. And whenever the Pittsburgh Steelers picks up the phone and calls you and say, hey, we got Antonio Brown, we got Mike Wallace, we got Chase Claypool, we got George Pickens available. You hang up the damn phone. Yeah, you hang up the damn phone. You do not trade with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, there's something that they know that you don't, and that's why they're willing to give them away. And then when they went to Dallas, it was like, I mean, what a shocker. They gave up a 3rd-round pick for a guy who's on his last year of his deal. Remember, they gave up a 4th-round pick for Trey Lance. Jerry Jones, he's kind of cheap to me. He doesn't really spend a lot of cash on players. I mean, you can look at salary caps all you want, but as far as actual real cash, he's not spending a lot. He's towards the middle of the league in actual cash. And it seems like he's always trying to find all these values, or, like he's trying to strike oil or something, or strike gold. Like, with Trey Lance, gave up a 4th-round pick for him. He couldn't win the backup job in San Francisco or Dallas. Now he's not even on the team. And now he traded a 3rd-round pick for a guy who's kind of volatile and might not work well with Dak Prescott, like Brian just said. And you give up a 3rd-round pick for him. The Pittsburgh Steelers didn't want him. Nobody in the league wanted him, just like nobody wanted Trey Lance, and Dallas took him. There's always a sucker out there, and it's usually Dallas. So I don't think this works out, to be perfectly honest with you, because if it did, I think Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers organization would have kept George Pickens. I'm sorry, they want to get rid of a receiver. I'm trusting Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers on this one.
Yeah.
Just from history.
Yep, from history, exactly.
Yeah. Okay,
so you got that, and then Coop, you mentioned Derek Carr did retire, and you were like,
yeah, man, because I've always liked Derek Carr, man, and it's just I had a lot of thoughts in my mind about him. He went to New Orleans, for Dennis Allen, who can't coach. Unfortunately for him, that didn't help his career. But I remember where years ago, we were at Brian's house, and I told you and a lot of Raider fans that one season the Raiders are going to make the playoffs that year. And the first game of the year, we were at Brian's house sitting in the front of the TV. They were playing the New Orleans Saints, and they came back
2016,
and they beat them. Yes, and they beat them. And the Raiders had like 11 or 12 wins that year. And
12.
Derek Carr, we had 12. And Derek Carr was in the MVP discussion. He was killing it that year, man. And I saw him at Fresno State too when he was playing with Devontae Adams. It was unfair. He threw like 50 touchdowns that last year, and I think 37 the year before. So Derek Carr to me has always been a decent quarterback. I'm not saying he's a generational quarterback. I've always looked at him as a good quarterback, but then at the same time, he has a negative connotation, I think, or stigma to his name because he's David Carr's brother. And everybody knows how David Carr's, career went. A little bit unfair for him, but that's just the way it goes. And it just goes to show in the NFL, quarterbacks and people always talking about, oh, did you go 1 or 5 or 8? You need to go to an organization that's going to support you. This is what I always say about Lamar Jackson. He better be damn well happy he went to Baltimore, a team that's willing to build around him and his skills and invest
for
in him.
Any player, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, be happy if he went to Cleveland, his career would not have worked out the way it did. And for Derek Carr, he started with the Raiders, and this is no disrespect, Glenn, but at the time he went to the
highly
Raiders,
dysfunctional.
Yes, it was not a well-run franchise.
Not at all.
It was chaotic, and all we ever heard about was when we moving. And how we moving and where we moving and okay, well, we moving, but we got to stay in Oakland a couple of years. It was, it was always something going on that just wasn't right. I think he played for Tony Sperano. I know Jack Del Rio, he had some success, but the Raiders let him go. Then Gruden came in, and he got this Rich Bisaccia and Josh McDowell. So he's never really had, it never really shook out for him, man. But at the end of the day, he made over $200 million. But I think his legacy probably would have been a little bit better had he played for a couple other franchises, but that's just the way, because I'm not feeling sorry for him. But I just think his career could have turned out, better than Andy Dalton's career. Danny Dalton played with some winners, but it's just what happens.
That's how it goes.
Out. But I never thought he was a terrible quarterback. But also, lastly, Brian, when he hurt his ankle that year after he had a good season, Yeah, he hurt his ankle. He wasn't the same player. He shattered his ankle and was never the same player. And then it seemed like the last couple of years, when you think about Derek Carr, you always think of injuries. He seemed like he was always hurt all the time for some reason. But,
Yep.
I'm not surprised he retired. Good for him. He made over $200 million. He's living in Fresno. He'll be happy.
Yeah.
He'll be good.
Agreed.
Yeah, I pretty much the exact same, man. I will say I got to see a lot of. I mean, I watched a lot of Derek Carr games live. I saw some of them comebacks.
Yep.
We saw him throw TDs to Devontae. I saw him out there with Marshawn Lynch. I mean, that was our quarterback for 10 years. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So a large portion, which is crazy, bro. How like when you follow a team, they draft a guy and he stays there. Like that ends up being a player you follow 10 years, bro. Like I was at Brian's all them years, and Madden all them years. You remember we had Matt Schaub? And then Carr got drafted.
Remember them shots.
Yeah, I think he took over from Matt Schaub, right?
Yeah, Matt Schaub never played a game because Carr looked good in preseason, and that was that. So 2016 was definitely the season, man. He was, bro was tough. We won a lot of Madden games together. Best of luck to him in retirement, man. I did find it funny. He's retiring with it. Did y'all see his wife posted like his first day of retirement?
What do you do?
Bruh, hellish. He lifted weights. He played golf. He just did everything that I'm like, I thought your shoulder was messed up, bruh. You gonna play 18 holes right now?
Yeah, I guess that's what he's doing.
Hey, my shoulder's been jacked up. It's weird though. Like I hard to lift a backpack, can swing a golf club just fine.
Okay, well, yeah. I've seen how that goes. Boy was lifting weights and doing all kind of stuff. But now he's like you said, Coop. I think we were close a couple of times, like 2016, but we didn't build, and it never mattered. And he went to the Saints, and there wasn't nothing to have over there. So, right off in the sunset, enjoy yourself. Yeah, I mean, he got paid again, like you said. Yeah. I think he'll sign with the Raiders on a one-day contract, retire as a Raider, and then be, and I was telling Mom today, or one of the homies, I think he's going to be in the building, if not this offseason, next season for sure, walking around, and once a Raider, always a Raider alumni. Like, so
you think so?
Yeah,
you don't feel like he might have some hard feelings about the way his exit happened?
Not Derek Carr, not Super Christian, turn the other cheek.
Well, Mark Davis was never really into him. So as long as he avoids him, he'd be all right.
And I bet I bet on some alumni, because if Marcus Allen is in there and all them cats, Derek Carr will be back in there. But so that's that. Anything else y'all got NFL wise, or?
Nah,
not really. Cool, man. Let's wrap it up. We good. We're about a little under an hour. So, game ball. This was Coop's segment, man. Do you have a game ball for this week?
Yeah, I'm giving it to the Indiana Pacers.
Exemplary.
Yeah, man. Good for them to make it this far to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think the last time this happened, Reggie Miller was on the team, and that was probably in the 90s or so. So, I mean, good for the Indiana Pacers. I'm drawing a blank who their coach is. I think it's Rick Carlisle is the coach of the team. I'm not sure. Looking it up right now. Rick Carlisle, he's the coach of the Indiana Pacers. He actually went to the finals and won a ring with the Dallas Mavericks. So he kind of knows what needs to be done to get through a playoff grind. And looks like he's taking Indiana to the AFC.
The Pacers were in the Eastern Conference Finals last year too?
No. I said they haven't been since Reggie Miller. That's what I was saying. But Rick Carlisle coached the Dallas Mavericks when they won a title.
Got it. I'm wondering, wait, who was in the finals last year?
It was Boston. Oh, you talking about the Eastern Conference Finals?
Yeah.
Oh, I have to look that up. I didn't think the Pacers were in it.
I think it was Pacers.
I thought it was Miami. No, I think it was the Miami Heat. Eastern Conference Finals.
I'm curious.
2024. Okay, here it is.
It was Celtics Pacers. Celtics won 4-0.
Yeah.
The Pacers made it last year?
I know, bro. I'm surprised too. And they were 20.
I did not know that.
2014 too. Bro,
I didn't know that.
We don't pay attention to boys.
That's an excellent transition for what I was about to say.
Go ahead.
My game ball goes to Tyrese Halliburton, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and Jalen Brunson, because not anybody who's not a big sports fan knows who any of these three dudes are, and they are absolutely leading from the front their teams into the positions that they're going to be in as a result of their talent. People know about Ant. People know about Luka. People know about a whole bunch of players. Those three players that I've named have taken it on the chin. Tyrese Halliburton was the most overrated player by the other players, which is a rough flag to have, except for
I'll take
he's
it.
got his foot.
That's funny.
he's going to go back to back to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Right. I'll take it. Please keep calling me overrated.
Shai
I love that.
Alexander has always been underrated, or at least underappreciated, because that man has been super talented ever since the minute he stepped foot in the Clippers. And he was a throwaway piece, meant to be a throwaway piece in the Paul George trade, in which they gave a whole bunch of players up. He was one of those players, and he has been outstanding for them. And Jalen Brunson, as I was mentioning before, he's been, as Glenn also said, he's been doing so much in Dallas. He's at a whole new level. He is absolutely that man. He's putting games on his back, the team on his back, playing with the team and doing quite well. The Villanova Knicks.
Man, the Pacers went to the final, and they lost 4-0, according to what Brian said. They got swept. So that's probably what I didn't remember they made it. I didn't watch the game. So, yeah, wow.
He got drafted by the Hornets. Hornets have done that many times.
Wow. Crazy.
Wow. Crazy. And was on the Clips, too. That's crazy how many of these, like the Kings had. Halliburton, the Kings had. Buddy Hield, they had all these guys and end up in other places.
Paul George, one of the most overrated players in history, man.
I think
he goes from place to place and don't accomplish a damn thing.
Bro, they said that they said Jason Tatum is just Paul George with a better front office.
I didn't hear that one.
Dang, hey,
That's
bro,
funny.
believe. But yeah, no game ball for me, man. I don't got anything that I could think of. Next segment, hogwash. Anything
Brian,
that is,
I want Brian's hogwash.
What's
I'll
a
go
bunch
first.
of hogwash right now?
It's all of these folks either on social media or four-letter networks or whatever else who are already talking about how Shedeur Sanders is having a lights out season. They have done one damn practice at a mini
this
camp,
happens every year.
a rookie mini camp and new player mini camp, and the video that they keep showing is a 5-yard out. The player catches it on a 5-yard out and turns upfield for a touchdown, 7 to 10 yards, where there's no contact, no defense. Only people there are rookies and people who are new to the team. And they're talking about this dude on all these different places. Like he just proved that he should have been the number 1 pick of that draft. Nothing but hogwash. That man has not done anything. And this is not to knock him or herald him. This is to knock the people who would take that small a sample of absolutely nothing and try and make it a big deal.
Brian took my hogwash. That's why I'm sitting there like, dang, I was going to do the same thing. All these clips on Shedeur. Oh, he's ready. He's better than Dylan Gabriel. Yeah, he is better than Dylan Gabriel. That's not saying nothing. Okay, I'm going to go a different route than on my hogwash.
Huh? Here you go. You should talk about Keyshawn. Keyshawn said that he knows more about the quarterback position than anybody else because he has played with a bunch of them. And he is going to tell the world that Shedeur Sanders is the best quarterback out of this draft.
Here we go.
The best quarterback on that team and will be a starter and a star this year. He said all that. I was like, all right, Keyshawn. First, he says he had a PhD in quarterbacking. Never thrown a pass.
Yeah, Sarah Palin also says she's an expert in foreign affairs because she can see Russia from the back of her house.
Yeah, shut up and give me the ball.
All right, I'm about to give me another. I guess I'll go another route then. My hogwash is going to go to the Cincinnati Bengals. When Joe Burrow got drafted, I never questioned his talent. I questioned the organization he's going to, and I've talked about them before on other situations. I'm going to talk about them again now. So they drafted number 17, the guy Shamar Stewart. He never really lived up to his billing at Texas A&M, but he got paid a lot of money. He's a talented player, has the physical traits, and the Cincinnati Bengals drafted him. He did not practice at rookie minicamp. Everybody practices at rookie minicamp because it's really much
his contract.
Exactly. It's a joke. Nobody's getting hurt in that thing. It's pretty much walkthroughs and learn the playbook. The reason why he didn't practice is because the number 17 pick of last year's draft got a certain amount of money for signing bonus. And Cincinnati Bengals, everything is slotted. So you know how much person's going to get. Well, the Cincinnati Bengals are want to give him less than what the guy last year got, which doesn't make any sense. Just give him what he should earn for where he was drafted and then move on. And this is why Cincinnati is just Cincinnati. I mean, they invested a bunch of money in offense. The offense is very good, but they still can't make the playoff. They're always just doing something stupid, and that's just the owner. So, I mean, look, Burrow to make one Super Bowl with Cincinnati is probably all you might do with this franchise, how they operate. But It's just the Cincinnati Bengals being the Cincinnati Bengals. They don't even want to pay a rookie what he should get for a signing bonus, and so they'll be my hogwash for this segment.
I didn't think about it that way.
Quick add-on. They made news this afternoon because Trey Hendrickson, one of their star defensive ends, has said he won't play. He was an All-Pro, and here they are being cheap with the All-Pros too.
Yeah.
So
Rookie
or veteran, it does not matter.
I've been there, man. My Raiders are doing it. My Raiders are doing it. I'm glad we're not there now. No hogwash either, man. I'm just here to have a good time. You feel me? Last segment, minute to win it. As usual, I'm just thanking everybody for listening. Thanks for checking us out and spending any bit of your time with us. Appreciate you. Hope you have a good week.
So Brian usually closes this out, so I'll go with mine, and it's has to do with Michael Jordan coming back, I guess, on NBC as a special contributor. Michael Jordan over his career doesn't really say much. He'll say stuff. He tries to play both sides because, he's into capitalism. He wants to make money. Republicans buy shoes too. So I'm not going to talk about them or support any Democratic, candidate or whatever. I mean, that's what he does. I don't see players. One of the reasons I don't listen to players or a lot of people on TV, because they fail to really evaluate or analyze or critique players. If they like somebody, they're only going to say good things. You're never going to know about a player's weaknesses. You see it all the time in NFL with quarterbacks. The ones they like, they praise. Never their fault. The ones they don't like, they'll just nitpick and say whatever. I mean, it's just how it is. I don't see Michael Jordan critiquing these players or evaluating or analyzing players like that. If Mike was having a drink and a cigar, then I would definitely want to hear him. But I don't think he's going to be, I don't think we're getting that guy. If he's talking about betting or something like that, I would love to hear what he has to say. But I just don't think that he's going to, analyze players' weaknesses and faults and things like that and, get the full breadth of what he's really thinking. I think it's much ado about nothing. I mean, of course, I'm interested in hearing what he has to say, but I just don't think we're going to hear much from him. So, I'm definitely going to watch, but don't expect anything. So that's my minute to win it.
There, B.
Everyone, you've heard this joke before. President goes to Qatar and comes away with a $400 million plane, which is both a bribe and a clear violation of the emoluments clause, not to mention the fact that the plane was built out in Qatar. So, there's probably a pretty good chance they got some spy stuff on there. The person who facilitated the gift of the plane was an ambassador to Qatar for her career leading up to it. How in the world did we get to a point where people are openly giving our president $400 million bribes? It is absolutely impossible that this is the point we've reached in this world. It's not being hidden. There's not going to be an Iran-Contra affair where later on they're going to be like, I do not recall. This man got up there and said, don't worry about it, world. It will never be your plane, because as soon as I'm out of office, I'm going to go put it wherever I put my presidential library. The only part about that entire sentence that made me hopeful was he said, when I'm not in office, which means that one day he can rid himself when he's not in office. I sincerely hope that that's the case. We have reached we've reached such a status of lunacy when it comes to these items, these things, these people, that the people that I used to hear from, who used to say it's all the same, red team, blue team, this and blah blah blah, silence. Haven't heard about them for 100 days, because it is so crazy, so consistently, that we no longer have the ability to pretend like A and B are anything alike. That's not a good thing, folks. That is a really, really scary thing, because we have gotten to a point where crazy doesn't look so crazy anymore. Also, shout out to one of our most ardent listener. I hope everything goes well.
Fair enough. Sports Counterpoints. This is May the 13th, 2025. We'll see y'all next time.
Yeah. And y'all look up ardent in the dictionary.
We'll see you on 2 weeks.